Hey everybody, I just watched Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I want to give you my spoiler-free review. I am going to be as unspecific as possible. I'm not going to tell you who characters are playing, what the plot is, just going to give you an idea for what I think of the movie. If you don't want to be even a little spoiled at all, click off this video, I guess. But here are my spoiler-free thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day. This movie is incredible. I didn't know what to expect. Obviously, like you probably, although probably at a slightly higher frequency, been hearing rumors about what this movie is about, been seeing characters that have been introduced officially, characters that people have suggested might be in the movie. And unlike pretty much every other Spider-Man movie, right? Like, let's say Spider-Man Far From Home from 2019. They announced they're making that, and they say Nick Fury's in it. You say, oh, that's interesting. And then they say Mysterio's in it, and you say, oh, I think I see how this is going to go. Mysterio's going to pretend to be a good guy, then he's going to be a bad guy. Spider-Man's going to have to figure that out and fight him, right? Like, that's how a Mysterio story goes in the comics. But like, besides the phrase Brand New Day being the title of the movie, and that being a title of a Spider-Man run, one that just based on which characters were and were not in it, did not seem anything like this version of the movie. Besides that, we really didn't have anything. Certain characters and actors were cast, but they don't fit together as cleanly as a lot of these other Spider-Man characters do. A lot of them aren't even Spider-Man characters. They're characters Spider-Man knows, but not characters that you would expect to see in a Spider-Man book. And I will say, overall, with these Spider-Man movies that they made so far, obviously, I enjoy the Tobey Maguire ones. The third one's kind of a mess, but like a charming mess. The first Andrew Garfield one's fine. The second one is also kind of a charming mess. The three Tom Holland Spider-Man movies up until this point, Homecoming I think is great. Far From Home I think has its moments, and No Way Home is a lot of fun. If you had to ask me, I think, like a lot of people, I would say Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire, Alfred Molina. That's probably my favorite of these movies, or it was until now. If you don't count the Spider-Verse movies, because they're like their own thing. But the live-action ones, at least. I think this movie, for me, and this may just be a me thing, I have not seen other people's reactions, the review embargo hasn't dropped yet, I didn't talk to anybody else at the theater, but like, this is everything I want from a Spider-Man movie and a Spider-Man story, and I am not trying to raise your expectations too high. But first of all, this felt like Spider-Man. It's set in New York. He swings down the street. He interacts with New Yorkers. That is maybe the single thing that I've been missing most from the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, is how few of them even take place in New York, how outside of the final swings, there's not really any scenes where Spider-Man just swings through New York City. The closest we get to that is in Infinity War when he's chasing Ebony Maw, but like, that's kind of the fun of this character, is he can swing through the city and you have these big skyscrapers, so it's like very dynamic, and we just haven't seen Tom Holland do that. We also, because he's been so tied up in Avenger stuff, because he went overseas, and then because Spider-Man No Way Home was filmed during COVID, and they had a lot of restrictions, they used a lot of green screens and stuff, it just didn't feel like Spider-Man was in New York. And this movie does so much so quickly. It's almost like it's making up for how much it never did that by giving you so many incredible action scenes, new characters that Spider-Man is interacting with. It's such a cliche that like New York City is actually a character, but it is. It is a character in these movies. It has personality. It's shot incredibly well. And speaking of that, this movie looks amazing. That's Daniel Cretton. Everybody he worked with, I know he brought on a lot of stunt people. They really seem like they took MCU Spider-Man down to the studs and said, okay, so we got Spider-Man, but what's his swinging like? Not like in the other movies, but like, what would be a cool thing to see him do while he was swinging? What would be a cool way for him to fight? Maybe not a way he's fought before, but what is cool now? Which angles have we never seen Spider-Man from? They do everything. It looks so much better than every other Spider-Man movie because A, it's the most recent, like, so all the effects look as good as they've ever looked, but B, compared to the most recent ones, every action scene is so thought through, so visualized. You're not just seeing a fight scene, you're being told what to focus on during the fight scene, so you're getting everything. It is so slick. I really was excited. I was excited the whole time when I was like, Destin Daniel Cretton's working on this, because I liked Shang-Chi. And then, earlier this year, I liked Wonder Man, so it's like, all right, he's 2 for 2. Can he pull this off? Because this is a harder lift. Shang-Chi, kind of coming out of nowhere. Wonder Man, expectations are very low, but Spider-Man is something totally different. And I think not only did he direct the best looking Spider-Man movie ever made, the story is so clever. You know, I've heard every leak and rumor and I try to stay away from it, but it makes it to me anyway, so I kind of let it wash over me. But it does stick in the back of my head, like maybe this guy's doing this or that guy's doing that, whatever. But even going into this movie, like sitting down with my popcorn, I wasn't sure what this movie was going to be. I didn't know how the plot was going to play out. You know, like usually I'll watch a trailer for a movie like Supergirl or something, and I can usually guess like what sequence the scenes take place in, just based off like how the comics usually work, how they're wearing their costume, all that stuff. This movie, before I saw it, I had absolutely no idea. And they did a really good job keeping one character secret. Not going to tell you who they are or what they're doing, anything like that, but it works for me, and I think the story the movie tells justifies using this character what they're doing. I will also say, let's just take a character that we all know is in this movie because they're doing interviews together. He's very clearly there. The Punisher's in this movie. He's in all the trailers. They did a Hot Ones together, and they just got done with their Odyssey movie together. When they announced Bernthal was going to be playing the Punisher, my thought was, oh, okay, I get it. They're friends. Like, we know that. Back in the day, they camera tested together. They like to put an MCU character in one of these. So, like, sure, good enough reason. But what I didn't think about is, what is something specific about the Punisher that only the Punisher can teach Spider-Man? Same goes for the other big MCU character that shows up in this movie. Like, it is not just a cameo fest, and even if it was, I think that'd be fine. There's lots of fun shots of Spider-Man fighting villains, and like, I love that stuff. But when they actually introduced a character, when they did work to say, here he is, he's a big part of the story now, it wasn't just because they could get him. It was because that character told Peter something interesting about himself. I will also say, what the story ends up being, like the bad guy, what they're saying, I loved it. I will definitely talk about this more in like a spoiler full video. I probably want to see the movie again before I do that. The performances are also really, really good. Tom Holland is great at this. He could do this in his sleep. Same with MJ, Ned, all these other actors. And like John Bernthal and Mark Ruffalo, like, are incredibly talented actors and are really good at bringing that emotion into these roles. And like, I'll be honest, because I saw Tom Holland saying in interviews like, oh, the movie, you know, got some tears out of people. Like, I cried a little bit, they said. And I said, okay, like, I was not expecting to be emotionally moved by this movie. I don't think I felt that way about the previous Spider-Man movies. This movie got some tears out of me, I'll admit it. But I swear, like, if you could see me through this movie pretty much from minute like 2 on, I was just smiling. I was like, oh my god, they're doing this. Like, they're doing this. This looks perfect. This character's written perfectly. I will say, I think a lot of people deserve credit for this movie being great. Tom Holland is very good. He also clearly has a vision for who this character is and what fans want this character to be. And listen, we're fans. Sometimes we're wrong. A lot of the times we're wrong about what we want. It would be dumb for a studio to go, what exactly do you want? We'll just do that, right? Studios have tried that. It doesn't end up working. But what it seems like Tom Holland really understands is why fans want certain things, why they want a Peter who is struggling, why they want a Peter who spends his time in New York City, because so much of that showed through. It showed through in the interviews. I'm incredibly impressed by him. Chris McKenna and Eric Summers, they're the writers of this movie. They also wrote the other 3 MCU Spider-Man movies. Also wrote like a bunch of other stuff. Remedial Chaos Theory is probably like their most impressive credit from Community, because that's just a very iconic episode of a television show. I think this is by a wide margin the best written one of these. The like deep conversations were great. The humor was great. Peter Parker felt like a human being, and I don't think he felt like a caricature before necessarily, but he just felt way more real in this movie than I think he ever has. And like I said, I think the way that all of these characters are brought together is incredibly clever. But the thing I'm most impressed by is just that Destin Daniel Cretton has an incredible vision for what this movie is. A vision for what Spider-Man can look like, what Spider-Man can be, and emotionally what can be interesting about Spider-Man. In a way that both feels like genuine, authentic to the comics, but also really is new. Like, while there obviously are certain story elements you're like, oh, that's kind of like from this comic, this is not pulled from a comic. It feels like reading a comic for the first time. And like, I also have to give a shout out to Peng Zhang and the Jackie Chan stunt team who did the stunt choreography for this movie, because it all looks so great. Like, I am so impressed by this movie. It's probably going to be my new favorite Spider-Man movie. I'll have to see it again. I think certain action scenes are going to be some of my favorite Spider-Man action scenes. And I think every reveal, every secret, the way it plays out, I found very satisfying. And that's all I'm going to say. Also, 3 updates for people. Number 1, this is my first video on camera in a while. This is the new setup. I know what you're thinking. That looks a lot like the old setup. It does, but this isn't necessarily the only setup in the room, which I think that'll be clear eventually. Also, my cat Mortimer was on the floor for the entire recording, but now he's on my desk. Look at him. He's having a great time. This Spider-Man is his favorite Spider-Man because in Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man pet a cat. And last thing, and listen to this bit because it is important, very important to me. I've been talking a while about the Nebula project that I filmed about a year ago, and I finally have an update. We're going to be releasing it as a short film. We're going to premiere it at the Holly Shorts Festival in August 21st of 2026. So less than a month. Then once we're done with all the festivals, whenever we are able to, we will premiere it on Nebula. This is I don't know exactly how long it is, over 20-minute long short film I wrote. YouTube friend Patrick Willems directed, and Dave and Nebula put together an incredible team, like cinematographers, actors, crew, and made a short film that really looks great. It is called Power Trip, It, much like Spider-Man, also takes place in New York, and unless you are at one of the festivals where it screens, the first place to watch this short, again, that I wrote, will be on Nebula. Nebula is a subscription streaming platform that I and a bunch of other YouTubers created. I upload all my videos early and ad-free, including this one. This was here on Nebula first. And then, like my short film, there's all kinds of stuff you can only find on Nebula. Patrick has made other short films. Lindsay Ellis makes video essays exclusively for Nebula. If you've watched the channel, you've seen me plug many of them. The show Jet Lag premieres on Nebula. Tom Scott's England series premieres on Nebula. It is an incredible way to support creators, and we're in the home stretch, so you will very soon be able to see this short film that I wrote and Patrick directed on Nebula. And a year of Nebula is already a steal at $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. But if you go to go.nebula.tv/thenandocut, you can get a year of Nebula for just $30. That is $2.50 a month. It is an incredible deal. It's a great way to support me and a bunch of other creators who either you already love or you are about to love. Again, it is go.nebula.tv/thenandocut. That's all I got. I will do a much longer spoiler video. Like I said, I do want to see this movie again. Stay safe. I'll see you around.